Places we weren't supposed to exist. A space for conversations that don't always come out clean the first time. You don't have to have it all figured out before you speak. You don't have to translate yourself to be understood. This is where meaning takes its time. Come as you are. We'll figure it out together.
Welcome, everyone, to We Weren't Supposed to Exist. I am your podcast host, Cher Griffin. I am a PhD student in transformative social change, studying identity development in late recognized adults. And I have a very special guest with us today. Marnie and I met online, but it never just felt like online. There was something in the way she held space, something steady, spacious, and deeply human that reached through the screen. Not loud, not performative, just present. The kind of presence that doesn't rush to fix or define, but stays long enough for truth to surface on its own. She's part of the Compassion Collective, but that title doesn't quite capture her. It's more like she embodies what that space is trying to become. A listener, a witness, a truth teller in the quiet, unwavering sense. Not the kind that dominates a room, but the kind that shifts it. The more I've come to know her, the more I've realized that her way of being didn't come from nowhere. It was shaped through a life from where I stand feels both extraordinary and hard won. The kind of life that leaves you with depth, with perspective, with a way of seeing people that doesn't flinch. There's a difference between someone who understands compassion conceptually and someone who has lived their way into it. Marnie is the latter. Welcome, Marnie.
Thank
And I start every podcast with the same question. What does Gestalt language processing mean to you?
To me, it means I tend to feel emotions and sensations throughout my body before I can put words to it. Um, some might even call something like it intuition, but I'm not sure if that would be right in this sense. But um, sometimes it helps me determine like who is a good person to like be around just because of things they say, the ways their body shifts, and I can like feel it. It's really weird when there's a very like heavy emotion in the room. I can feel that, and I can feel it throughout my whole body. But that's just, I know that doesn't just tie back to language. It just ties back to like all the senses, and it's insane what it feels like to be like this sometimes.
Yeah, I feel that. I totally do. I think that just what came up for me, I don't know why, but it did. Before I discovered I was autistic, before I discovered I was a Gestalt language processor, before like I figured any of this stuff out, I had kind of moved through the world of empath,
Mhm.
and which was an interesting world to move through. And I identified with a lot of how different literature and different spaces were talking about what an empath is, which is kind of like what I feel like you kind of said, but it's more like we all learn
Yeah.
there's more. You move through it. You don't stay there. You move through it. And but that's what it feels like to me too. It's like a felt sense. It's not it's not language first. It's it's like a knowing, like an intuition. I don't know. Yeah.
Is it getting too loud over here?
What's up?
Is it getting too loud over here?
No. It's fine.
I'm just making sure because I can hear stuff going on in the background.
Oh, I can't hear it at all, so
Okay, good. Some sort of computer magic, I'm guessing.
probably, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know how you handled that. I would lose my words if I had like background noise.
Oh, I'm starting to a little bit.
Oh
Give me a
no. We can pause. We can pause for a minute if it, no.
No, I'm acclimating. They're gonna keep going for a while, and I want to be out here instead.
Yeah. It looks nice out there.
It is nice out here. It feels good out here. Um, but yeah, so Gestalt, it's just to me, it's a lot about feeling my way through. At this point in time, I've found a way. I've found myself feeling my way a lot through life now. Stop trying to rely on words and meaning and feeling my way through it. if someone says something and they feel like they mean something different, I focus on the feeling more than what they said.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's how I feel like that's my sometimes my hang up is like actually trusting that. Like maybe it's called trusting your gut or whatever, but is like not ignoring that signal, I guess. And I feel like that a big part of my life, and I think you might relate to this too. I did ignore the signal
Yeah.
because we were told that the signal was wrong in
Oh yeah.
one way or another over
Yeah.
and over and
For
over
me,
again.
it was religion.
Yeah.
Religion was way in a lot.
Yeah.
And that subscribed to the whole what's his name? Dobson?
Hmm.
Dobbs? Whatever the guy was recently passed away. Um, the, I think that's also a problem that comes with either Gestalt language processing or some of the problems that come along that seem to come along with it. Don't always remember names that well. Anyway, it was the old religious dude who was like, punish your kids when they're trying to seek out things because they're trying to manipulate you,
Mm.
not trying to get their needs met as children.
I don't even
That
think children can manipulate, like that's just, there's not enough life experience to be able to manipulate.
I think at a certain age, yeah, like teenagers learn to manipulate at some point, but that's because they're taught by the people around them that what they're doing in the first place, or they're trying to do in the first place, is manipulation, not getting their needs met.
Hmm.
So then when they really need to get their needs met, they still feel it's manipulation because they're not used to trying to get their needs met through normal means.
Yeah. Yeah, because we aren't taught that. And especially as Gestalt language processors, at least for me, this is how I felt. Like as a child, I was hyperlexic. I think you were too. I think we've talked about
Yes,
it. And
and dyslexic.
yeah, and dyslexic. We're both. We're both. We both have the alphabet soup. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the same alphabet soup.
I know it's weird. It is really weird sometimes. But yeah, like the like conceptually like understanding something is different than being able to articulate that understanding in a way that other people can grasp the gestalt as well, right? Like that's the thing I find about like meeting other gestalt. Like it's you talk about like no like when you meet people, you just kind of know, like you just know. They don't just say anything to you. You don't have to know their religion or their politics or you just know. You know.
There's a couple I've been helping out put together a bar. Their grand opening is actually this weekend, and I've just been volunteering there, not just because my partner is their going to be their head chef, but because when I first met them, and even like talked to them about my partner potentially being like working for them because they were looking for a chef. I'm like, hey, I think I know someone. I was a little worried because, of course, my partner's trans, just like I am. So that's one of the alphabets you don't have, T.
Yeah, I don't have the T. I don't.
But that's fine. Nonetheless, just joking though, with the alphabets. Nonetheless, I just felt this sense that they were really good people to begin with, and I've just been over there volunteering to help. I
Yeah.
could care less. I mean, they've helped feed me a few days, so I'm not going to complain about that, stuff like that. But, I was there to help them because I knew that they were going to be under a lot of stress. There were going to be things that would just be easier to have someone else handle that could do, like menial tasks. Like I painted floors, I painted
Mhm.
walls. I didn't do anything. I caulked holes in the kitchen to make sure that it was like food safe and everything. Came up with shitty jokes about caulking those holes.
I bet. I feel like there's something about
Hey,
that
that was interesting.
like I feel like what's coming to my mind is like natural community building. Like it's
Yeah,
just and I feel like that's something that's been lost in our society currently, especially right now in the midst of what the United States is going through, is that we've lost that like initiative or that motivation maybe to just do things with people because you like them, you know?
and here's the other thing. You want to the concept of this bar is TTRPG and gaming bar. Like they have an entire shelf of just board games that they've accumulated over the years, and they put back on that shelf to be used. They're bringing in two gaming tables for specifically TTRPGing. That's going to be in a back area, and people will be able to play back there. The music's going to be kept low. They're We'll be playing card games. There's plans to bring in actual card gaming sales there too as well. So there's and
Sounds
then not only that, but you look at the people they've already employed. My
yeah.
my partner, the kind of people that are just in the kind of communities that they're bringing around them, TTRPGs and card games and stuff like that, bring a lot of queer folk,
Yeah.
and that's the exact kind of people they expect to be in the bar.
Yeah. It
Aside from
sounds
the locals that have
yeah.
missed that bar being open because it
Yeah.
was a local hotspot.
That's so cool. Like I just love here I hear about these things all the time, just like and I don't feel like I mean I hear about them because of the spaces that I'm in, but like I don't feel like our communities are being um like opened up to these things that are happening locally in their local communities, that there is community building happening. There is space inclusive third spaces being created for queer people, for autistic people. I think we kind of like autistic and queer
Yeah.
people often just kind of like go hand, like we're like, yeah,
Oh yeah. I
we're
was gonna
cool.
I was gonna make sure we brought that up in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I was because I wanted to come back to like, yeah, I don't have the T. And
Yeah.
maybe, I mean, we go places, me and Marnie, so we're gonna go here. But because I feel like I don't have somebody that I can talk to who understands like my gender experience better than you do. And I think that there are a lot of people like me who have an experience like me that I don't really feel. That's why I put octopus in my. It's like I don't like I've never for me, gender is fluid. It always has been. I've never felt it any other way. Like and I from the moment I can remember even coming to an understanding that we did that in society, right? Like whatever, I was probably like what, 3 years old or something, where I was like, oh, there's boys and girls, like that thing. But I never really, I was like, no, that's stupid. Like that's kind of in my little 3-year-old brain what I was thinking, like I don't feel like that's necessary, and I don't feel like it's helpful. I feel like it causes more issues than it solves to genderize a society. It feels, I mean, just like we have with race, and so for me, I'm like always just kind of floaty aroundy, and nobody can ever pinpoint me, and they're just like, what are you? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like early life experiences. Like I think one of the things that I don't know if I don't know if this ties back to Gestalt language processing in any way, but it kind of feels like it does in a way. But the fact that when I was young, I always hung out with girls before they tried to completely split us up by gender and all that, when like
Mhm.
puberty hit and everything. In daycare, I played dolls with other kids in daycare. In elementary school, I played house on the playground. I often played like a boy character, but every once in a while I'd say, "Hey, can I be mom this time instead of dad? I'm tired of being dad. Dad's boring."
Mm.
Um, stuff like that throughout the years, and um, it was just a felt sense that that's where I belong. That was my like those were my people, and I've always found myself more in the company of women. I in high school, my best friends tended to be women. It was a very strange experience. Looking back, it's less strange, but if on the cusp of finding out who I was, I could have sat there and gone, "This is strange. Why have I had mostly female friendships throughout my life?
Mhm.
Why have I tried so many times and failed so hard to have male friendships despite, joining the Marine Corps and being in it for 5 years? Did I
Yeah.
make friends with any I'll specify a little bit. Any cisgender males? Not really. Most of them were gay,
Yeah.
otherwise queer. My roommate was actually like me, an
Yeah.
egg.
Yeah.
So, um, but it's just one of those strange things that people don't always realize is there's a felt sense that all of us have of like our gender, our identity, and anywhere along there, whether you're fluid like yourself or a little bit more set where we feel like we sit. But
Hmm.
also, I think part of the thing is I like this presentation of self.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like even if we stripped away gender and everything from it,
Yeah.
if I continued to allow myself to was allowed to present myself how I wished, I'd still present myself like this.
Yeah.
I think that's what brings comes back to it's, and I think presentation in the world also helps others determine who you are. To a
Yeah.
degree.
Absolutely. 100%. Like for me, it's like I perceive you as a woman, and I always have. And for me, it wouldn't make sense to perceive you any other way because you embody that. Like that's just it's who you are. And um, so for me, like sometimes I just don't understand people who can't conceptualize that because I can. Like that's maybe it's because of where I am, because I'm fluid, like I
Mm.
can conceptualize myself as a more masculinized, is that a word? I don't know. You'd get what I'm saying, gender. Like I also have in my younger years felt very connected to a more um uh I guess what we would consider a masculine kind of embodiment. And I still do. There's like, but I moved through, I also can very much fall into a very feminized embodiment, like both. It's like both and I can move through them like throughout a day, you know? So it's like it's so for me, it's just it's not it doesn't it doesn't confuse me in any way whatsoever. It just is, and I respect what is, you know?
I think the other part of the problem is a lot of people start to be closed off to their true sense of self via the oppressive systems we're under, whether it be
Yeah.
religion, our government trying to, because they're still enforcing it. Like I can't even change my legal documents right now because of where I live.
Yeah.
And they're trying to enforce this binary that goddamn hard.
Hmm.
Stripping X's off passports. Like
Yeah.
the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
There's never been a binary. There's no way. With
Yeah.
how hard they're trying to reinforce it, we can even go into the biology of it all, but that's unnecessary. Most of the people who are probably watching have probably heard these arguments and don't need them. But
Yeah.
it's just it can the thing that pisses me off the most is how scared my psyche was for pretty much 3 decades, a little over 3 decades, to
Yeah.
not allow myself to be seen properly.
Yeah. That's a huge part of why this podcast exists, right? I mean, and it's like when I've invited people on to the podcast, I'm like, even if you don't identify as a GLP, like, or you think you might, or you just resonate with what's happening here, because so many things intersect with this whole to part way of making meaning or seeing the world. And I feel like, I mean, I'm going to get all as existential and big picture here, but I feel like it is one of the main issues that we are having um, socially and politically um, in the United States, right? At least in the United States, but probably the empire extends, So, but
And there are many different empires, and I'm honestly not sure which one's the head. Are we the head? Is it Israel that's the head? Is not real the head? Who knows? Who knows?
yeah, yeah,
Now that this video is going to get shadow banned, I'm sorry. You might want to bleep that out.
maybe not, maybe not. Like, hmm. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, that's the part too that just drives me nuts. The amount of censorship in and that's how I felt, I guess. I'll go back to this. I'm going to pull a weird thread here, but you're saying that like not being able to just
Mhm.
exist as we are. Like everything feels like it's compressing
Mhm.
and like it feels like this is how it feels in my body. Like I can't really explain it intellectually, but it just feels like the world is compressing and it's going to get to a pressure point where it's going to break. It is
Yeah.
breaking. We know it's breaking, but these are that's why like these attract I call them, I get into my complexity science world and there's like what we call attractors.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of what we're like experiencing right now is like these little attractors coming and those of us who are kind of big picture aware are seeing that and are building these different attractor states, whether that's through a local um, inclusive,
Bar.
club or a compassion collective that meets online and just bees who we are, or a podcast like this, or I mean, and we're seeing these things pop up.
Yeah.
And I also feel like there's still this, how do I put this? Like, there's still so much, because there's still so much tension. It's like this stuff that's happening out here is still being misread. Like, we're still being misread.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating.
I think that what I'm hoping, because it's hard to see fragmented communities building
Hmm.
when a the larger system is trying it to make sure that we can't see them in the first
Hmm.
place. So I think there are a lot more there's a lot more community building happening that we're not realize that not everyone's realizing.
I agree.
Not only the like massive organizing some people are doing, like what May 1st is supposed to be like the big like corporate blackout day,
Yeah.
along with anything else that's going on. You're starting to see these pockets of community start to form and build because we all consent. I think a lot of people can sense what's coming, and
Yeah.
they know where the safety is going to be after that is
Yeah.
going to be in communities built together,
Yeah.
knowing people face to face.
Yes.
um I mean, this may not be exactly face to face, but I knew if I went to visit, or if you came down here, or if we needed to find a way to meet in the middle somewhere,
We
you
could.
know, but exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but I think people are going to start valuing those in-person relationships more and more. I
Yeah.
mean, heck, I'm already doing it.
Yeah.
There's this point I'm starting to kind of feel I'm scared because there's like this very weird tipping point for trans people that people aren't paying very close attention to,
Hmm.
right? And it keeps on like teetering back and forth. And I'll be honest about that. Like whether or not we're going to see the end of our days before everyone's liberated, or we're going to survive this. So my body continues to kind of feel this like death coming.
Yeah.
And I've decided to some degree I'm going to ignore that and just live,
Yeah.
because I have nothing left to lose at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, part of me wants to get involved in activism, and maybe down the line when I get when if I live long enough, maybe I'll start going back towards doing like
Yeah.
activistic things. I'll get involved. Like the bar plans on having a little food pantry thing. There's going to be other activities they're probably going to do volunteer wise and stuff like that as time goes on. I'll probably be doing activities with the bar and helping out there. But it's one of those things where at this point I have just kept myself back from living for so long. Time to live.
Yeah.
I
You know what?
lived my life by other people's rules for way too long.
Yeah. That whole idea, you brought that back into my life. Thank you very much. I'll just say that very much out loud. Like I was definitely getting into this place of um I I need to change something, like I need to like something about what I'm doing, the work that I'm doing in transformative social change, all this stuff, like something big needs to happen. And I kept trying push and push and push, and it wasn't making me happy. It was making me stressed out. It was, and there was a breaking point for me. There was a rupture, um, that was quite large that needed to happen,
Yeah.
um, because I needed to see that, oh, wait, I have a life. I do. Like I have wonderful humans in my life. I have wonderful children. I have a life that needs to be lived right now, not in 2 years, not in 10 years, like right now. And I think that um, we forget that when we're doing this work, whatever kind of work it is that we're doing. If it's online activism, if it's, community building, whatever it might be, but we
You're
forget.
surviving in the system that you're forced into.
Yeah. Yeah. And not everybody has the privileges. And I'm so very aware of my privileges of where I'm at right now in my life that I'm able to do this. Um, but I also don't see it as another option, right? Like I don't see right now my life being anything but building relationships. Like that is what and I went like for anybody out there listening, I went through like a very huge burnout where I was probably clinically could have been considered agoraphobic for 2 years. It was really and I still did my online stuff, like that probably saved me in a lot of ways, being able to have my people online. But I was really scared to be in the world, to be out in public, to even the grocery store, even these kinds of things. The fear was really real. And then you come into my life, and and I'm like, dude, what? Like, not that, not, like I grew up with this like other people have it worse kind of thing in my family, and which is true, yes, but there was like this um recognition of like it could be worse. And you can't let that chaos affect how you live now. Like, I guess is kind of what I learned from you. And it's still hard. Like, I want to say that
Yeah,
too. Like,
I struggle with it, girl. And the other day, I broke down in a game store, a safe place game store that I found in town, through friends, thankfully. But I broke down because I realized I've been like low key, really suicidal for a bit.
yeah,
Um, but like it was being hidden behind layers and layers of other things, and like I the bubble burst and I realized, oh, I'm holding on to these things like a lifeline.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I was doing too. I was doing it. And it's like having the community, having relationships where these things can be expressed openly, where we don't feel shame or what, like it's a different experience that I really wish, like I hope that doing a podcast like this um motivates people to begin that process at least, even if it's like the Compassion Collective literally started with me and one other person, and I was like, you want to like be in community together? And she's like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And like it wasn't like this big like that's community building is just it's a little courage. You got to have a little bit of courage. Um being able to move through rupture and repair, like that is a big one. And I've had those.
Speaking of courage, rupture, and repair, narrow courage.
Aw, yes, 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 that was, right? That was courage, rupture, and repair. But it's like,
Yeah.
the thing is I think we've all been conditioned too, right? To believe that
Mhm.
everything needs to be perfect. Everything needs to be done exactly right. We need to say the exact right words. We need to do the exact right thing at the exact right time. And if we don't do it right, then we never talk to each other again. Like, that's
Yeah.
kind of Like that's kind of how, I mean, I know that I've had relationships like that in the past where rupture occurred and there was no pathways to repair that could have been repaired. Sometimes ruptures occur and there needs to be, you
Mhm.
know, that does happen. But a lot of times it can be repaired. And I think that's kind of where like the real vulnerable relationships begin.
Yeah. Um, do we want to talk about the neurocourage incident at
Yeah,
all?
we can. Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that was an interesting saga.
hmm
You were on one side of it. I was kind of on the other side of it.
Yeah, yeah. It was very fascinating. How do we bring this up without like I want to be careful when I talk about uh just situations like this as because they're complex, right?
Oh
Like
yeah, they're extremely common.
they're extremely complex. But it's like I knew it's like sometimes people have more perspective than others. And sometimes those perspectives need to come together in a way that's like just thoughtful is just the word I want to use. It's just thoughtful. Like it just there's things that are occurring that could cause more rupture if they're not like tended to and nurtured in a way that is considerate of everybody involved. And I've made so many mistakes. Like, you know, you can have all the best intentions in the world and still fuck up.
Oh yeah, we all do all the time.
Yeah.
It's just learning to accept it, move on, and apologize and atone or whatever you need to do in accordance with your
hmm
own morality and being, and hopefully in accordance with decent morality and being, because
Yeah. Yeah.
someone can have morals that are indecent. I think we have one of the president. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I've had lots of like little ruptures like that though in friendships and throughout my life. And I think that's kind of just maybe I have a little bit of resilience. Maybe that's one of the things that GLP does bring because Gestalt language processing, um, and we could get into all the stuff about, you know, obviously I'm more articulate now and I can have a different depth of perspective than when I was like younger and things and I was being misread or misunderstood. The difference is that for me at least, when I was younger and I was being misunderstood or misinterpreted or well, we could go on the
oh yeah,
laundry list.
yeah.
I would internalize it as I bad. I bad.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Oh
the
yeah,
not the environment it can't hold, but I'm bad. And
yeah.
and so I think that well, that's complex PTSD. When that repeatedly happens to you over and over again. And and so I can see that being uh a challenge in community building for
Yeah.
anybody, not just GLPs, but for anybody, because when you're carrying that kind of, I call it what sedimented relational architecture, when you're carrying
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
you're bringing that into the community with you. And that's kind of, I think, where the vulnerability piece comes in is like, you actually need to know why like that happened for me and be able to hold that together in a way that's like, hey, you actually like I can see why that behavior or that experience or that was the way you would respond. That makes sense. That response makes sense. And
Yeah.
this is also true too at the same time. And I think that that is the gift of complex PTSD, if you want to call it that, right? We get the fun gift of metacognition. Yay.
Yeah. Metacognition. Mhm.
Yeah.
Speaking of other meta things, metaphysical, has anyone ever come on here and talked about the potential like metaphysical aspects of autism?
No, let's do it. Go for it.
So one of the things I've been poking around in and not really getting too deep, and trying not to get too deeply into, but my algorithm's starting to feed it to me these days, is this idea that PTSD, complex PTSD and neurodivergent brains are more easily attunable to psychic abilities. I
Hmm.
mean, if you're reading any of the stuff coming declassified out of out of the government and some of the stuff that people have been discovering that they've been hiding and stuff like that, psychic abilities might actually be real, unless this is all another psyop, which would be completely possible too. But here's the strange thing: like I've, I've dabbled in witchcraft since my egg cracked a while, since a little bit of time before my egg cracked, and then beyond. But even then, there was this. I don't really want to talk about that directly. Nonetheless, there have been instances where I've just had this very innate feeling about something that wasn't directly involved or related to me.
Hmm.
And one might call that psychic.
Yeah.
Could it just be the like instance of GLP just being that strong and that sharp? Who knows?
Yeah.
But with all the random information about like aliens and stuff like that that people are starting to find, discover and stuff like that, it makes you wonder if there is more and deeper stuff out there. Like we need people doing stuff on the surface level that most people will understand, but at some point in time, if there is something deeper than that that we're not able to describe directly by the scientific means we have right now, why aren't we working to discover it?
Yeah. I think there are and have been people working to discover it. It's just again, it's this like you said, it's like it can't be explained through the tools that
Yeah.
we currently prioritize. The tools that we empire logic. That's what I call it.
And actually, I think it's even different, a little bit more different than that, especially with the if you've heard about like the 13 missing scientists from like
Hmm.
from nuclear and from like nuclear research and energy research and stuff like that. Um, Obviously, they've been hiding it multiple times over
Yeah.
multiple years, over multiple decades. Some of the discoveries that have been made that can help all of humanity.
Yeah.
0 point energy has apparently been discovered a couple of times, but they
Yeah. Yeah. There's oh, I don't probably want to go there because that might take us down an whole other rabbit hole that maybe we just shouldn't go down. That's what I say when me and that's no hold bars with me and we'll go anywhere. But I'll thread us back just a little bit. I have a friend who hopefully comes on the podcast at some point. But she's autistic. She's a GLP. She just asked me something today about consciousness and about this she's in this realm of kind of spiritual intuition and clairaudience and clairvoyance and these types of things. And I know where
conversation going with us at some point.
I know all three of us would be really good. But at some point, like, I know what my spiritual experience is. I
Mhm.
believe it. I know it's real. If you tell me it's not real, then I'm sorry for you. Like, I don't know what else to say about that. And so when other people have different experiences than me, my children, I believe, are telepathic. They have a connection and an experience where they can speak to one another without words. That is the definition of telepathy, right? They're twins, they're mirror image twins. So like why would I deny that reality for them? That doesn't make
So,
any sense to me.
so here's the other thing, right? Speaking on twins being able to do that, I think I've been able to do that with my friends sometimes. Because I have literally, on multiple occasions, not talked to some friends for weeks or months at a time, and I just say hey to them at just the right time, and they're like, "I really needed that. Thank you."
Yeah. Yes. I mean those are things like we can't explain in science, right? We can't well, and maybe some of our quantum mechanics
Someday,
out there might be able to say, actually, I can't explain that with this, and that's great. But and we are actually understanding a lot more in the metaphysical spaces and quantum mechanics and all of these things that maybe there are formulas that show us
yeah.
that these patterns are real, that there is math. that shows us these patterns are real. I don't have any reason to believe that they're not real. Like that's how I look at things, right? Um, like even so, as a child, God didn't make sense to me. The idea of God, all of this stuff. I grew up in a family that was very open,
Mhm.
very a very a family that just kind of naturally, not like intentionally maybe, but we're critical thinkers in a lot of ways. So I think it was just because I asked so many questions that my mom couldn't answer. She was just like, "Oh, why don't you explore that, Cher?" And so when I was like, "Hey, Mom, I don't think God exists," she was like, "Well, why don't you explore that, Cher?" And I did. I explored it for quite a few years of my younger existence. And by the time I was, 16, 17 years old, I had decided that the existence of God did not make sense. So I lived my life as an atheist for a long time.
Well, if you look at the stories of many religions and theologies, including what we consider now mythology,
Yeah.
but at one point in time, that was people's religion, if I recall correctly, to a degree, or at least the stories they shared enough to where it was almost like a religion.
Yeah.
And they all have similar parables.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So all that really, when I was younger, I started to realize, especially as I was like learning Greek and like Roman mythology, mostly Greek because they didn't really do much with the Roman mythology units. But as I was like learning Greek mythology and some of the other myths and religions out there, I started to realize, oh, all of these things rhyme. Are they just taking from the same music sheet? Just, bad game of telephone throughout decades and different people? Like,
Hmm.
now this is the wild part of the theory, right? Because if we do believe aliens exist, what if to some degree Greek mythology is the closest and they're all aliens that had somewhat of these powers and seem to have these abilities to control these things.
Wow.
And they focused on those abilities, and when they were interacting with us, that's how what we saw. And then the children of them are actually maybe our own first like humans. That,
Maybe.
who
I
knows?
mean, like, see, I think that's possible.
Mm,
Like, but I also think there's like there's other
yeah.
possibilities. Like there's this kind of across different spaces. I'm in a lot of places almost.
So am I. I
Yeah.
just haven't realized at this point. We might be in slightly different places here and there, but
Yeah. Yeah, but we're all over the place. But like there's these intersections are more and more people are recognizing them, right? Right? They're recognizing, oh wait, this pattern is the same here and here and here. It's a fractal, right? Like history is a fractal. Nature is a fractal. Everything is a fractal.
yeah.
So,
One of the earliest things I realized when I was doing because I so one of the things that Cher did not include in my intro, folks listening, is that I also have a master's degree and two bachelor's degrees. The master's and one of the bachelors is in global affairs, and the other bachelor's is in psychology. One of the things I started to realize early on is how those systems work similarly, like how massive political global systems work much like the psychology of a human. Just that you just have to apply the idea of how these nations and their governments are interacting as needs for the nation.
yeah.
The only thing is, in order to do that, you need to understand the entire needs of the nation. When you have bad actors
Mhm.
doing stupid shit, sometimes that can throw things off.
Yeah.
But
And
but it
sometimes,
tells you a lot because people need resources to live. That's what governments try and do is extract resources from each other and from their own lands and from their own people to keep themselves alive and survive.
yeah.
And then just like people do, nations have disagreements about how certain things should be done on a world stage in a large group,
Hmm.
and that's where you get conflicts
Yeah.
to some degree. Clearly, our conflicts have been potentially manufactured by
Yes.
the global elite for years.
Yes. Yeah, so much manufactured conflict on so many different levels too. And once you see it, it's like it's really hard to unsee. It's like, and then you watch how those are attractors in a way, these manufactured conflicts within different communities and different spaces. And it's mostly online. You have to I think sometimes people get into online spaces and think like this is reality.
Even
And it
before
is a
that,
version of reality, but it's not.
even before that, manufactured conflicts even existed before the internet. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
not only that, but we're starting to realize that, the the globally those with money have been manipulating things like world wars for and global conflicts for generations at this point.
Mhm. Yeah. I was gonna say, oh, like in these different spaces that I'm in, like there's this, how do I put this? There's this kind of like shared agreement that something is happening, is going to happen, that may um I also want to be careful with my words, that may destabilize people who might need to be destabilized. Put it that way. And I mean, what that is,
Yeah, depends on which space you're in.
exactly. Exactly.
But
Exactly.
whether it's just a full-on metacognitive cognitive shift of like the human species, or whether it's the like revelation of aliens, or whether someone's actually going to finally break zero point technology from the stranglehold.
Yeah.
So many different
Different things.
angles it seems to be coming from, and that's why I'm saying is like, if I feel that like burst coming, but are we going to be gone before I have the chance to experience it? So I'm just trying to live.
Yeah. Yeah. Just enjoy what we have here. I think, that's something people, when I start to feel myself get like a little too deep into the like, um, um, what's the like, where I'm starting to like lose a little bit of hope, I have to go back to those simple things. Like, dude, look at the planet we live on. Like what? Like what? Like, I mean, just thinking about all the like this is my autistic brain, right? Like this is I just love the little things. I mean, and I mean that like metaphorically, but I also mean it like literally, like sitting in the grass and like searching for a four-leaf clover. Like that has never loses its fascination for me. Drawing a picture and just letting my mind wander never loses its fascination. Like I'm never bored. That maybe that's the ADHD. Like boredom doesn't exist in my world. Like I can't be bored. Um, my brain never stops.
Oh yeah,
Like I can
I sometimes find what my brain is doing boring though. I'll admit.
yeah, sometimes I do too. Actually, no, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah, that's kind of almost excruciating when your brain is being boring. You're
Yeah,
like, dude, step it up.
yeah,
But those are the times that we're supposed to like rest and like
yeah.
that's we're so I try and love those parts of myself as well. That part of myself's name is Eeyore. And I do get yeah. I get kind of annoyed with Eeyore sometimes, but Eeyore also needs to exist. So
Yeah,
yeah. That's also something that we have in common, plurality.
yeah.
Yeah. Which is so highly misunderstood.
Oh
So
yeah,
highly.
it is. It's good that there are some people able to articulate it a lot better than definitely I am.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there's
my partner might be too.
mm,
She just lost a gap of time the other day.
yeah, that's a good sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely I think someone might be coming on the podcast. They haven't responded to me yet who's going to go a little deeper into that, which I'm really excited to have that conversation because I it's not that I don't feel like I deserve space to talk about plurality or multiplicity. Um I just recognize how plural our community is. It's like it's the one thing about like the plural community that is just like I think it kind of an underlying like unspoken rule is like we
Yeah,
all just know that we're all our own and
yeah,
there's no need to have some kind of like any kind of top-down effect because like
Yeah.
you can't do that in a plural system.
Yeah.
So you don't do it to each other.
Yeah. Well, I mean, plural systems can have hierarchies within them, but generally speaking, it's all
Yeah.
good. So I think I think this is one of the things that also trends not only plural. Well, I don't know. You're monogamous yourself, but I know myself as well as several other autistic people and stuff like that that might trend towards not only polyamory because of it, but other things because your system then needs different things at different times depending on who, what, and what's going on in your own
Yeah.
system.
That makes total sense to me.
Like,
I think
um,
that community probably intersects highly, I would assume. Yeah.
not only that, but there are a lot of, queer, and neurodivergent people within the community as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
You want to talk about neurodivergence? Because
sure.
because this is one that I also, like I never land anywhere,
Yeah.
um but I feel like okay, so here let's open it with this. So the term itself, great term, socio-political term created to um uh, situate people who have uh, diverged either intentionally or born that way from neuronormativity to, I think ultimately the goal was to ensure uh, um, equal existence, right? Like I'm just going to use the word existence, equal existence in the world as difference is valuable.
Yeah.
And what has become it's kind of online at least, another manufactured conflict, I think,
Hmm.
to some degree, is this kind of fight against who belongs and who doesn't belong in the category, or in this like umbrella
Hmm.
term. And yeah, and I'm just like everyone belongs. If you think you're neurodivergent, great, welcome. And then other people don't think like that.
No, I mean that's how I think too. If you feel you belong, if you feel you relate at some point with people already under the umbrella, whether you've decided you identify with any of the other subterms under the umbrella, whether it be DID, PTSD, CPTSD, autism, ADHD, you know, LGBTQIA plus, anything under the umbrella. Because one of the things I really think we need to start considering part of neurodiversity itself as well is the LGBTQIA community
Hmm. Yeah,
because it's a divergence of the norm
it
of normative society.
it that's just
But I understand why we're trying to keep it distinct because LGBTQIA plus tends to have like the sexuality and gendered aspect of everything.
yeah,
Some
that makes
people,
sense. That makes sense to some degree, but does I still feel like it intersects enough that it's like it's still part of, but maybe and
yeah,
some of its
like
own.
maybe it's like a Venn diagram of umbrellas, and it's like almost
Yeah,
over each other.
yeah.
You
I've
have
tried so
very few non-neurodivergent people outside of one of the umbrellas. Yeah,
I've tried so many times to kind of conceptualize it and put it into like a visual of like, okay, here's our trauma genetic like parts of neurodivergence. Here is the more like like because you can be neurodivergent due to like psychedelic use, or you could become neurodivergent just because you've been maybe had a spiritual awakening or awakened to the fact that neuronormativity harms not only neurodivergent people but all of society, like that having one narrow way of being in the world.
yeah,
Maybe we need to open that up a little bit. Um, which is so it's just fascinating to me because of again, another, it seems just very simple to me. Like it doesn't feel like it needs to be gate kept, but I guess there are folks that is maybe their role, and maybe I should just back myself off and just be like, have your gatekeeping role, but I don't know.
yeah. Gatekeeping is a very strange mechanism in society,
Yeah.
and very frustrating too.
Yeah. I mean, we could go back to the like I understand gatekeeping, like okay. potentially like before I did a lot of like my self-discovery work and my healing work around neurodivergence and all the other things that were going on for me. I may have been more of a gatekeeper, right?
Yeah.
Keeping boundaries up in places because I hadn't yet done enough of my own discovery to know where I began and so, like where someone else began and where I ended and where someone else began, and when we were first kind of into this podcast, you were talking about that intuitive piece. That is not something you it just like any skill
Yeah.
that anybody has, you have to nurture it. And so I'm at the point now where my discernment is I'm going to be proud of myself. I feel like it's very developed at this point, and it took me a long time to get here, to trust the gut, to understand that. And I still make mistakes. I'm not like some queen of discernment or anything, like, but I do have, it's much, much better. And so it's easier for me to let the gates down.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean, like where I'm like, maybe I just need to give them a break. They'll get,
And
like, and not saying that and I shouldn't even say that they'll get here because that still makes it seem like I
yeah.
somehow am better or which is not. It's just like I've been down that path. Maybe they'll go down it too.
Yeah. And even if they don't, hopefully they'll try and hopefully they'll do a lot less harm than we worry they might.
Yeah, that's the part that why I push back against gatekeeping is because of
Oh
the
yeah.
harm that I see. And I think that a lot of people like you recognize this, and I think people in the Compassion Collective recognize this because we're in the spaces that hold that.
Yeah.
We're in the spaces that hold the harm, that hold the pain, that hold the suffering, that as a community like get to witness each other in that way. It's a gift in a lot of ways. Um, and it's like, well, we know we know what that produces. And
Yeah.
that's why, and like that's my whole thing around call out culture and this stuff. It's because I see the outcomes. And uh uh I that's how I am about everything related to like social systems is like all the work that I've done throughout my life professionally or um, uh, uh, academically, these types of things are around, I guess if I was going to say one word, it's around exclusion and what exclusion produces in individuals and communities and the bigger picture of society. And so it's not just because I'm like don't exclude anybody, like it's like no, the outcomes of that are really bad. Don't do that. Don't do it that way, So, yeah. I'm a big inclusion fan, but I'm also very critical of inclusion being co-opted by institutions and
Oh yeah.
that.
How many times has it been co-opted and then we see how much it's just been a game.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, I've been there.
As as soon as Dumpty was like, yeah, we're not allowing TEI anymore. So many places jumped ship because it was all performative in the first place.
Hmm. It was. And I've experienced that performativity. Like that's where I got a lot of like disillusionment when I worked at a nonprofit for a period of time. And I worked at and here's my literal autisticness, right? I worked at this nonprofit. I worked at this state-run behavioral health organization. And both times I took them for their word, right? Like these are
Mm.
our values. This is what we're working towards. This is what we care about. This is how we care about it. And none of those things were true. And
Yeah,
then when you told them, hey, you're not doing these things, like, but I have some ways that you might want to learn so you can do those things that you say you're doing. And then they were like, shut up, basically. Like
yeah,
my experience in those worlds in a nutshell. And I was like, okay, so we're not really doing inclusion. Got it. Like, thanks for lying to me. Yeah.
systems aimed to continue to oppress,
Yeah.
hide, sweep things under the rug.
Hmm. Yeah, I was very disillusioned with my time working in a government health organization. And what's fascinating, I mean, there's so many wonderful humans that worked there. I don't, this is, I when I talk about when I talk about systems, I'm talking about systems. I'm talking about patterns. I'm talking about the structure that has been normalized in those environments. And when you're somebody who can't not see the underlying structure, it's like it's just not a healthy environment to be in. And I thought for the longest time I'm going to change the system from within. And I had to come to terms with that not being possible, and that I wasn't resilient enough for that. Like that I would end up losing me to do that
Yeah.
work. So that's why I'm out here. That's why I'm doing this.
I think that's what happens with a lot of people though, is they wind up losing themselves to the work they're trying to do, and not well, one of the things you always need to do is take care of yourself. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things we could potentially learn from some of the resistance leaders of like the civil rights movements. Is one of the things they always made sure they did was take care of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's like in those in systems dynamics though too, it's like even that, right? Like there would be these like what do they call them? These groups that you could join that were like, the LGBTQ group.
There's a specific word for them.
Yeah, there's a word. It's an acronym, but I can't think of it right now. And it was kind of like, oh, yeah, thanks for that 1 hour a month that really nothing ever gets done because it has to go through the same bureaucracy as everything else in this organization and still has to be approved by the people who aren't in the group.
To be fair, I do think the mothers at three-letter agency I worked with under while I was in the Marine did actually get them to get like nursing mother rooms. That was
Oh,
like one of the few things.
yeah.
ERGs.
ERGs, yes. And
People
yeah,
like
and I want to be clear, like I don't think ERGs aren't bad and the people in ERGs aren't bad. Like that's not my point. There's a lot of good things that can come from those, and
yeah,
they're still contained within
the
these.
bureaucracy that still suppresses them in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole nother podcast on my ideas on how to do, yeah, but yeah. They kicked me out. So
Yeah,
oh, oh, this has been a fun conversation. It always
awesome.
is. It's just the same conversation with we just recorded it. Oh,
Well, I think we went a couple of different places that we don't usually go, but
I know. Yeah, I know it was good. Yeah. Any closing thoughts for our listeners?
just try and discover who you are. Stop letting the system dictate who you're supposed to be. I
Yes.
did it for 30 years of my life, and it sucked. It
Yeah.
sucked. We could go into a whole longer conversation about how my life has been shaped by the world around me
Hmm.
until a point where I realized I was done.
Yeah.
But
That's beautiful. Self-discovery is a gift, and it can be, for me at least, it can be scary to look at some of that stuff, and then you just then it becomes kind of just its own pattern, right? Where you just it's part of your life.
the shitty thing is a lot of people have to hit a point of collapse before they can get there. I'm not good, and I did too.
Yeah, I did
I
too.
did too. I didn't go into it much here, but like in quick succession, folks, divorce, crack, which means you realized I am trans, and then
Yeah,
cancer diagnosis,
yeah, cancer.
all within the span of like 6 months. It
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
and there was the collapse.
On that note, because I'm like I could just
Oh
take
yeah,
that thread and we could go somewhere else. So, thank you for listening, everybody, to We Weren't Supposed to Exist. Thank you, Marnie, for joining us.
it was a pleasure. Thank you.